In tonight's headlines, civil servants are getting a pay rise of 3%, that is shy of what an annual pay trend survey suggested. Residents may need to dig even deeper into their pockets on utility bills, with Towngas proposing a single-digit rate hike. And dozens of people are taken away by police officers on June 4th anniversary.
The Executive Council has announced today that civil servants of all levels, including senior, middle, and lower-ranking staff, will receive a 3% pay increase. The increase was lower than wage adjustments suggested by an annual pay trend survey, which estimated a 5.47% wage hike for junior civil servants and a 4.32 and 4.01% rise for middle and senior civil servants, respectively. Secretary for Civil Service Ingrid Yang says the decision has been made after thorough consideration.
The Executive Council has, in accordance with the mechanism governing the adjustment of civil service pay, considered 6 factors, namely the state of Hong Kong's economy, changes in the cost of living, the net pay trend indicators, the government's fiscal position, the pay claims of the staff side, as well as the civil service morale of the civil servants. We note that the pay offer is some way behind the net pay trend indicators, but given all the 6 factors taken into consideration as a whole, we believe that this is an appropriate decision for this year.
To stress that salary increment is not the only means of recognition in work.
但穩定唔等於我哋係嘛要真係要勒住肚皮㗎嘛？呢個不可能。
Leung Chao-ting, chairperson of the Federation of Civil Service Union, says a 3% pay rise is not enough to retain or attract workers. With 1 in 10 civil service positions being vacant, Leung says such small pay rise does not make up for the increased workload faced by civil servants. Yang will meet with representatives of civil services unions tomorrow to hear their feedback before the Executive Council makes a final decision on a wage adjustment. Janice Yu, Cable News.
Residents in the city may need to face another hike in their utility bills. After Water Supplies expressed its intent to raise water tariff after a 3-decade freeze, Towngas, the city's sole piped gas supplier, has proposed to the government to increase gas charges after tariff review. But the utility emphasized that the rise will be less than 10%. Managing Director Peter Wong said the decision came as the company has been under pressure. The last tariff adjustment was made 2 years ago when the business environment in the city was not too favorable, and the company has pledged to freeze the tariff in the following 2 years, he said. He added that the next step will be to wait for the government to approve the hike.
The police remained on high alert as today marked the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square incident. At Causeway Bay, where the annual candlelight vigil used to be held in Victoria Park before 2020, officers have taken away at least dozens of people, including activist Alexandra Wong, who was chanting slogans. She was warned by the police that her acts might carry seditious intent and was ordered to stop before being taken away. The U.S. consulate has placed candles near the building windows to commemorate the incident. At the weekly press briefing, Chief Executive John Lee sidestepped the question on whether the public could mourn or mention June 4th publicly.
All activities by any person must be conducted according to the law. No activities that contravene the law should take place. The government, of course, will take action in accordance with the law, which includes the Public Order Ordinance, the Hong Kong National Security Law, and the Safeguarding Hong Kong Security ordinance. So it is important we all bear that in mind to be on guard all the time against attempts to cause trouble to Hong Kong, particularly disturbing public peace.
In Taipei, a vigil is held in the evening to mark the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square incident. Earlier, Lai Ching-te posted a statement on social media saying the memory of June 4th will not disappear in the torrent of history, and Taiwan would respond to authoritarianism with freedom. Commemoration events are also planned in Britain, Canada, and the United States. In response to Australia Foreign Minister's comments on June 4th anniversary, calling on China to cease suppression of freedoms, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said Beijing firmly opposes anyone smearing China and interfering in China's internal affairs.
The city's leader called on the public to stay vigilant at all times, as national security risks could come at any time. His comments came in less than a week after the High Court has convicted all but 2 of the defendants pleaded not guilty to conspiring to commit subversion in the city's largest national security trial. Talking to the press ahead of the Executive Council meeting, John Lee pointed out that the verdict showed national security threats are what he called real.
顯示犯罪計劃嘅規模大同埋嚴重性。
The conviction showed the large scale and severity of the crime, he said. Under Article 73 of the Basic Law, legislative councillors are obliged to examine and approve budgets introduced by the government, as well as approve taxation and public expenditure. The chief executive stated that by planning to force the administration to consent to their political demands through indiscriminately vetoing the budget and public spending proposals, the defendants' acts are in violation of Article 73. When asked whether the Basic Law is in contradictory with the National Security Law, and if any amendments are needed to the Basic Law to contain the Legislative Council's power, Lee emphasized that legislative councillors are more than welcome to raise their opinion and amendments towards any of the authorities' plans. But if they were to ignore the pros and cons of the proposals, they have breached the Basic Law, he added. Janice Low, Cable News.
China Railway will replace and upgrade current train services to Shanghai and Beijing with high-speed rail services. Apart from daytime service, high-speed trains with built-in sleeping facilities are also added to the schedule and set to run overnight from Friday to Monday between Hong Kong and both cities starting from June 15th. Traveling time will be cut by half, and it will only take 12.5 hours to arrive at Beijing West Station and 11 hours 14 minutes to get to Shanghai Hongqiao Station from the city's West Kowloon terminus. The trains will stop at Guangzhou, Hangzhou, and other cities along the way.
交通会便利一点，会比较快一点。
Tourists from mainland are positive towards this arrangement, saying that it will speed up their traveling time.
有得瞓咯，個時間又短咗，又可以有得安排你咁樣瞓覺。
This man says it's great to get some shut-eye on the train, and it would be much more convenient now that the traveling time is cut short.
係品質升級，提供全新嘅體驗。
Speaking at the weekly meeting, Chief Executive John Lee expressed gratitude to the central government and China Railway for their care. Lee also says the trains, which will provide increased seatings of up to 600, have significant meaning in fostering people-to-people connection and business-to-business exchanges between Hong Kong and the mainland, and hopes the enhanced service will provide a good experience to tourists. Tickets to all high-speed sleeper trains will go on sale tomorrow at 12 p.m. Janice Yu, Cable News.
South Korea's Cabinet Council approved the suspension of a rapprochement deal with North Korea and resumed frontline military activities as tensions between the rivals are intensifying.
이러한 조치는 우리 법이 규정하는 절차에 따른
Prime Minister Han Duck-soo cited the North's continuous provocations, including recent launches of ballistic missiles and trash-carrying balloons, which seriously undermine peace on the Korean peninsula. President Yoon Suk-yeol signed off on the motion shortly after the cabinet's approval. The full suspension of the 2018 Inter-Korean Agreement on lowering frontline military tensions will take effect once Seoul formally notifies the North. It allows military exercises along the military demarcation line. North Korea didn't immediately respond, but South Korea's resumption of firing exercises or propaganda loudspeaker broadcast will likely prompt North Korea to take similar or stronger steps along the rivals' tense border. In the past week, North Korea has used nearly 1,000 balloons to drop manure, cigarette butts, scraps of cloth, and waste paper on South Korea, prompting Seoul to vow an unendurable retaliation. Pyongyang said on Sunday it would halt its balloon campaign. After North Korea launched its first-ever military spy satellite last November, Seoul announced partial suspension of the peace pact, followed by Pyongyang's unilateral nullification of the so-called September 19th agreement. Anna Chan, Cable News. In wake of a safety test scandal at Japanese automakers, government officials conduct an on-site inspection at Toyota Motor headquarters in Aichi Prefecture this morning. The probe follows admissions by 5 Japanese car makers that they falsified performance tests to obtain certifications for their products. Apart from Toyota, Mazda, Yamaha, Honda, and Suzuki also admitted to misconduct. The Transport Ministry will conduct on-site inspections at these companies as well. Toyota chairman Akio Toyoda apologized yesterday, emphasizing the wrongdoing does not affect the safety of the vehicles already on roads. The world's #1 car maker confirmed improper certifications were obtained for 7 models, with 1.7 million vehicles produced from 2014 to April this year affected. Some models' production and shipments have already been halted, while other vehicles involved are no longer in production. Transport Minister Tatsuo Sato said the safety irregularities were extremely regrettable, but the overall impact on the Japanese economy may be limited due to the low volumes of production of the affected models. Industry Minister Ken Saito said his ministry will investigate the wider impact of the scandal, adding financial support for parts makers affected may be necessary. The latest issues were discovered after the Transport Ministry instructed 85 automakers and parts suppliers to investigate whether certifications were acquired properly, following a series of similar scandals that plagued Toyota Group firms in 2022 and later. Anna Chan, Cable News.